Hi, this is Stephen Childs. Just a bit ago, I was having a banana with peanut butter on it. They're pretty good. Try that. Peanut butter on banana. Just put some on. Just put some with a knife on the peanut butter, on the banana, and eat the banana with the peanut butter. It's really good. It's got protein and it's got a banana. So, I'm sitting there enjoying my peanut butter banana, and you know what happened? I can hear a siren right now, but that's not what I'm talking about. I heard a telepathic message from a critic, and it said, "Sorry, but you're a nothing. You are a zero." I wanted to be a hero. Be a hero, not a zero. But what if zeros are heroes? So Buddha said that to understand how to get free of suffering, you have to understand that what you're believing is your problem. So by changing how you think, you can stop the suffering. And that's what the Eightfold Path is about. Correcting your thoughts. So in the Heart Sutra, it says, that which is form is exactly the same thing as formlessness. Formlessness is the same thing as form. So all of your problems, the form is your problem, and it's the same thing as nothing at all. So your problem is the same thing as nothing. And it's called shunyata, emptiness. Shunya means zero in Sanskrit. So it's by reducing everything to not anything. The problem isn't anything. That's the idea. So this spirit tells me that I'm going to lose because I'm zero. And my feeling is that I don't really need to pay any attention to what the spirit's opinion is, because the spirit's zero. And zero is everything. What if the one thing that's all things is nothing? Nothing is the one thing that's everything. Nothing is everything, and everything is nothing. So it might be true. It's like, is Buddha right? Science. Let's look what science has to say. Lawrence Krauss had a video years ago that I really enjoyed called A Universe from Nothing. So he's explaining how, because of what we've learned about dark matter possibility, dark energy possibility, to make the equations balance, that it all adds up to nothing, because the positive energy is counteracted by the negative energy of dark energy. So it shows up as a negative energy. So anyway, it all adds up to nothing. So I'm thinking this is interesting, because I remember reading D.T. Suzuki was explaining the doctrine of the void, Buddhism, and how mathematically it means that zero equals infinity. So we're wondering, why is there anything? There is not anything. Answer. That's the answer. So then, it really doesn't change it much, because how can not anything be this? So that's what science is trying to figure out. And that's what Buddhism is explaining. So, see, the person who understands what the Buddha is teaching is a Buddha. And Buddhas are free from suffering. They've mastered existence. And some of them stay as bodhisattvas. They're awakened humans that stay to help other people. And so that's how Buddhism works. We live in a world where people are trying to achieve more and more power. They're trying to become more and more. And the solution of Buddhism is to become less and less. This idea of having more and more, being more and more, is creating a mess for us here on the planet. They was just saying Spain. I was just thinking about Spain yesterday. I was thinking about Mexico and how the Native Americans, the indigenous people, and they were the Aztec Indians. They were conquered by Cortez, Spain. The Spanish fleet basically took over the world. The sailors, Columbus, Cortez. And that was Spain combined with the Aztecs that have become the modern Latino people in Mexico. So I was thinking about Spain. And I'm curious about the way the genetics of the Spanish people and how they've combined with the genetics of the Aztec. And I'm a product of combined separate tribes too, from Europe. 3 separate tribes from Europe. And then the modern native people, Indians, are becoming mixed tribes too. They're having offspring from other tribes, where in the past, before we had modern transportation, they didn't have horses because the horses came over with the Spanish. And so the tribes stayed pretty much isolated. They all had individual languages. See, that shows you that they were isolated from each other. It's not that way now, so someone can fall in love with a person from a different tribe and have offspring, have children. And I had a history teacher when I was in 6th grade. He said that in the future, eventually, all the peoples of Earth will become mixed. I was offended. I had this white is right mentality that I grew up with. And I had this idea that different tribes should not have children with each other. I guess I learned it from somewhere and bought into that idea. This is an idea that's worldwide. That it's not just with white people, it's also with non-white people. That they have this original idea that we should not have children with the other tribes. Well, the peace was because they were isolated. So if we stayed isolated, we were not fighting each other. So if you start having children with the other, then you got problems, because somebody's going to have a child that's both, and so he's defending the enemy because his child's the enemy also. You see what I'm saying? So now the world's different. We don't have separate tribes anymore. And so this was known when I was just a young teenager by a history teacher that had the courage to say that to a class full of students in a town that was 90 99% white. I would think it was like that, 99%. And probably 80% LDS, Latter-day Saint. There were a few Catholic, a few. I know there was one Muslim that moved here, and I talked with him one day, and I realized he's not going to be a good friend to me. I was his friend until he had this attitude that we had to stay separate strongly. That was imposed onto him. Because after all, I was not a Muslim. So if you're not Muslim, you're an enemy of Islam, according to the Quran. So we have scriptures written from this mentality. And the God concept that's in the Bible, it's like God is a fascist. You know, he's like this tyrant, authoritarian, I'm the boss of everybody. He's the leader of fascism. So that religion was fascism, and so were all the other religions of that time period. They were all fascist, what we call fascists nowadays. And maybe there's a reason why you can't use that modern word in the past, but they were authoritarian. With a ruler, the leader had all power over the group. So that model has been copied with communism, and they're atheists, where Stalin acquired all power over his people in a godlike fashion. So we modeled our society after this religion of an all-powerful authority that's separate from us, as someone else. So now I really appreciate the non-dual. Buddhism is non-dual. Everything is Buddha nature. All that is what they call Buddha nature. And all of us are Buddha, but we're not aware of it yet. So it's that kind of thing. All of us are Buddha nature. So one of the Zen teachers, they told him that everything has Buddha nature. And he thought about it and he said, no, everything is Buddha nature. So I want to circle back to zero, to what I started talking about, how zero is hero. What is it that is zero? See, that doesn't make sense. Zero is not anything. So you can't say that it is, that it exists, or that it doesn't exist, because it's not anything, so it's not non-existent. It's just not anything. Now, why is it not possible that all it is actually not anything? And we get this illusion of it being something. You know, I'm saying maybe this is what's true. Have a great day.